DOGE is living in the shadow of Gamergate. Don't take my word for it, take Amanda Marcotte's word for it, writing in Salon as aggregated by Yahoo here. Now, if you're an old head like me, and were around during the Gamergate days, you'll know who Amanda Marcotte is. For anyone who's new, all you need to know is she is a very forthright feminist in the old mold of the sort of early 2010s, and she was doing well when they were doing well, and now they're on the downswing. She's not happy about it. And so I thought we'd go through this just to see what her opinion is of Gamergate, how influential she believes. And she was one of the primary enemy combatants in Gamergate. And so we can take her word for it because she's not trying to fluff us up. She hates us and wants us all to die. So we can take her word for it that she's not unduly giving us credit where it's not deserved. So she says, one of the most unnerving aspects of billionaire Elon Musk's illegal rampage through the federal government, none of that's true. It's not illegal, and it's heartening, is how stupid it is. And that's another thing, right? So they constantly called us stupid, which is obviously not a fair characterization of anything. But the thing is, it's like, okay, but how are you losing to idiots then? Why aren't you able to outplay us, just out of interest, if we're so dumb? To be sure, the more important issue is that it's reckless and evil. You've got no standard by which to determine evil. Under the auspices of efficiency, he's slashing workers at random. I just wish he was live streaming this. And targeting entire departments that happen to have the power to hold his businesses accountable for law breaking. Yeah. I don't even care. Like the Biden administration went after Elon for not employing illegal aliens. Like, that's crazy, isn't it? Like, they're not supposed to be in the country. Surely they can't legally work. And yet the Biden administration is going after that. So I don't believe anything you're saying. But the sadism, I love this, the sadism of slashing government parasites. Sorry, these people don't produce anything. They're just a net detriment to the country. They're a burden which the taxpayer has to hold up. It's no wonder there's a trollish glee that he's getting rid of all these people. It's finally, someone's doing something about the oppressive bureaucracy that sits on top of the country and is just sucking out resources. Thank God. Anyway, so the name of the initiative, Department of Government Efficiency, is mostly so it can be abbreviated DOGE. Yes. There's a bit of fun while we're doing it. Why not, Anyway, so she carries on. Fascists have always been clowns. This is the opposite of fascism, right? Fascism is the total state. Fascism coined the term totalitarianism. They wanted a total state that controlled all aspects of society. What Elon Musk is doing is a lot closer to sort of Heinleinism, which is absolutely minimal, hyper-efficient state that has a very demarked area in which it operates, and the rest is just left to civil society to live freely as it pleases. This is the absolute opposite of fascism. Just FYI. But of course, this is why, like, again, you've got to understand, Amanda Marcotte has been in the trenches, in the foxhole for a decade now, probably more in her terms. And this is the kind of characterization we're going to get all the way through. So I'm not going to carry on correcting her. We're just going to be like, right, Amanda, you're an idiot. Let's carry on. She says, it's a 21st century innovation. They're so proud of their juvenile behavior. Unfortunately, many in online journalism saw it coming a decade ago with the emergence of the dumbest social movement in America and probably world history, Gamergate. There's nothing dumb about it. It was completely understandable that a bunch of very aggressive, woke activists, when they took over the games journalism media and then used their leverage and influence to browbeat developers into being ever more woke and hiring woke people and slowly but surely changing the composition of the institutions that were game development studios to produce the kind of woke crap that we've seen in the last 5 years. Well, it's not surprising when people are like, well, no, I don't want this. I'm not going to be morally browbeaten by you people, especially given how obviously corrupt you are and how just fundamentally not good people you are. Right? I'm not having that. I'm not having bad people browbeat me, someone who works hard every day and goes home as a father and a husband, a provider and a taxpayer, and a business owner. I'm not having this. And that's what Gamergate was about. But she characterizes Gamergate was the first crowdsourced harassment campaign of the social media era. I don't think it was. I think they would surely argue that the atheism debacle was probably the first. But GamerGate was the first proper digging the heels in. No, we're not going any further. We don't agree with this woke stuff, and we're not going to be woke. We don't agree with your moral system, and we reject it entirely. And I just want to be clear, most of GamerGate were sort of left liberal people who just wanted to be left alone, and now a lot of us are just full-throated culture warriors against all of this nonsense. Right? A lot of us have just become openly right-wing now. So no, clearly we can't have nice things and just be left alone. So we're going to have to set the order of the world, right? And what we want is basically what Elon is doing, a kind of hardcore Heinleinism. If you're really good at something and you're going to do it in a very prescribed boundary, then good, you do that. And if you're not, you've got no place in anything, right? You go and do whatever it is in civil society that you're going to do. You don't get to rule over anything. That's the metric of whether you deserve power or not. And it turns out that Amanda Marcotte and all of her feminist allies, well, it turns out they don't deserve anything, right? They don't deserve any of it. Anyway, she carries on and complains that, oh, it's a full-blown fascism. Yeah. Right. DOGE owes everything to GamerGate. It's hard to think for a more ringing endorsement for both DOGE and GamerGate, right? From its aesthetics to its tactics to its manpower, which largely draws on the same young men, now 10 years older, who are radicalized to the far right via social media. All right, gentlemen. It's good to see you doing Lord's work here. As journalist Max Reed pointed out recently, Musk's project isn't like Gamergate, but straightforwardly is Gamergate. Composed, I'm trying to maintain my composure, but I can't help but smile, right? 10 years down the line, and our enemies are like, oh god, Gamergate's taken over and they're destroying everything we built. Oh, good. Well done, gentlemen. Well done. Anyway, try not to enjoy this too much. Musk's project isn't like Gamergate, but straightforwardly is Gamergate, composed of many of the exact same people, rehashing the same unjustified grievances. Listen, Amanda, I'll decide if my grievances are justified, right? I don't need your approval for that. None of these guys need your approval for that. We're going to do what we think is right, not what you think is right, because what you think is right is frankly abominable. Anyway, moving on. Literally, in between bouts of attacking federal workers as parasites, obviously true, Musk and his fanboys also whine that video games are too woke and this justifies fascism. Again, I'm not going to even talk to you about the word fascism, but it totally justifies what we're doing, and good. Absolutely good. And she's got just a random Twitter guy. The election of Donald Trump is a direct consequence of Gamergate. You know, a lot of people say this, and I can't prove that this is the case, right? I can't show you the causal effect. All I can say is it looks very, very similar to the forces that caused Gamergate, and many of the same people, myself included, were instrumental in a broad sense in making this happen. Have been directly involved in the social media campaigns and the arguments and all this sort of thing to get to this point. So, I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. I don't know how you'd prove it, though. But what DOGE owes to Gamergate goes much deeper than the gripes of those suffering arrested development. The propaganda tactics and strategic incoherence of DOGE come straight out of that year of Gamergaters sharpening their techniques through a sustained and still painfully stupid harassment campaign against feminists online, right? It's not women now, right? So now it's ideological. Now it's people saying, I don't agree with your ideology. I want you to stop. I want you to go away, right? And sitting there going, well, they've been sharpening their techniques. It's still stupid. It's like, well, is it though? Because I feel we actually may be experts at this point in doing the things that we do and arguing against your nonsense. And it seems that you're writing this article because we are successful and you're getting BTFO'd. The first lesson of Gamergate was the propaganda value of bad faith. Oh, come on. Come on. Come on, Amanda. It's kind of embarrassing to see you saying things like this because everything you've said so far in this article has been completely bad faith. There's been zero charity whatsoever. And now you're like, oh, well, you're bad faith. Oh, okay, yeah. But this has been reinforced by endless repetition. Gamergaters were motivated primarily by two grievances. That feminists were criticizing sexism in video games. We don't agree. We don't agree that we're bad people for enjoying the video games we enjoy, even if there are no women in them or whatever, or you don't like the representation of women. Don't care. Don't care. We don't agree. And crucially, that these same feminists seem to have more sex than seem to have more sex than the gamers. I don't ever recall that coming up. That's a very strange thing. I mean, you're talking about how Zoe Quinn would have sex with journalists and parlay that into positive reviews, which is where the ethics in journalism comes from, right? As in, we don't think that's actually a way that this should be advanced. But anyway, gamers, I'm just going to call them gamers because that's what they were, realized quickly that outsiders would not be sympathetic to their real complaint, which is, how dare women who have more sex than me make me feel bad about my sexist video games? We don't feel bad, and we don't care about you or any of your loose ways. We're not interested in having you around, right? We don't want you to be a part of our civilization, and we're not going to fund you. We are not going to fund you. So I don't play Baldur's Gate 3. I'm not funding people who hate me. I'm sure I'd love Baldur's Gate 3. I'm not funding you. We're not, this is a divorce. We're diverging from you, okay? We're getting away from you. We're sick of you. We don't take you seriously, and we're not giving you any of our money. And that's why DOGE is happening. Just FYI. So anyway, she goes on to say, well, ethics in journalism is credible sounding enough, as if they don't care about ethics. They don't care about it. She just denies what's happened, which is obviously fake. But she doesn't care. She just denies. She's not interested. She carries on. Musk and his Doge bros are using the same tactic now with false claims that their goal is saving money. It's almost impossible to not think of ways to save money when cutting the federal bureaucracy, right? Like, come on. Obviously, if we stop spending money on frivolous nonsense such as US aid funding Stonewall for gay rights in Britain, of all places, surely, that saves people money. Like, it's logically necessary. Right? She says, oh, Musk's decisions aren't informed by research and analysis. They don't need to be. They don't need to be. It's logically inevitable. If we stop spending money on stuff, we save the taxpayer money. Like, we don't need a research or analysis on this. That's not it. There's never a case where that's not true. That has to be true in every case. So what's the problem? But anyway, she continues. They're vindictive, erratic, fueled by outright lies and racist grievances. Well, maybe you shouldn't have started the war if you couldn't finish it. What they're targeting is going on is guided by Musk's desire to kneecap agencies that threaten to expose his corruption. Yeah, I'm sure that's the case. I'm sure it's not that Musk is just like, wow, all of this tax is being wasted. Why is that? Oh, it's promoting woke stuff. The people who trans my child. Yeah, I'm destroying the woke mind virus. And you get to suck it. You just get to suck it. There's nothing you can do about it. And so you sit there going, it's fascist culture war dressed up in efficiency costumes. Okay, two things can be true at once, right? One, wasting my money as a taxpayer, and I'm really very, very sympathetic to my American friends on this, is not on. And when you see two, it's being done to wage a culture war on normal America, that just gives you all the more reason you could never need a better reason to get rid of this. No, I'm not having you rob me and give it to your clients, right? Your client patronage model to spread your ideology, which is deliberately and willfully destructive to Western civilization. Yeah, weirdly enough, right? We don't need, actually, I mean, even if you weren't doing that, I'd be completely opposed. But the second it's, oh, you're taking my money and giving it to other people. Yeah, no, that's gone. That's gone. You can call it fascist culture all you want. No, we do not consent to this. We are not having this. This ends. And if you want to say, yeah, this is just Gamergate, it's continuing. Yeah, okay, I totally agree. This is Gamergate. The war never ends. Right? The war is going to continue until you don't have a column in Salon because Salon gets defunded. How much USAID money did you lose, just out of interest? Very curious how much USAID money was going to Salon.com. I'm sure it's all just organic readership and advertiser dollars, right? Anyway, DOGE needs to be understood not just as a small group of people trying to destroy the federal government from the inside, which would be based enough on its own terms, but as a larger social movement that lives primarily on X, formerly Twitter, and is driven by Musk's cult of personality. Based. Love it. The sea of brain donkeys screaming for the heads of federal workers on X is gross. Well, again, it all depends on perspective. But it does generate the energy and sense of momentum necessary for Musk's activities. Excellent. The clamor is especially helpful in silencing Republicans in Congress, yeah, the rhinos, yeah, who might otherwise object to the economic threat from mass firings and defundings in their communities. Oh, yeah, I'm sure the Republicans are all like, God, all of my voters are federal workers. Musk can't defund them. One, he can, and two, bull. I'm not going to swear. I'm not going to swear. Bull. Just absolute bull, right? And I've seen various statistics about like what percentage of these are like diversity hires and things like this. It's like, no, just get on the free market. Good luck. Take your skills elsewhere. She carries on. The recruitment strategy to build this crowd of haters comes straight from GamerGate. Appeal to people by enticing them to take out their insecurities on your chosen scapegoat. What? Government employees who are stealing my money and using it to fund, like, transgender opera in Peru or something like that. Yeah, it's about my anxieties. Or my anxieties about not having as much money as I thought I'd had because I earned loads of money and then the federal government goes, nope, that's mine now, sunshine. Oh, okay, well, what's it being used for? Border defense? No, we're transitioning people in Cambodia. It's like, no, absolutely not. I'm not having that. It's nothing to do with my sexual frustrations and social anxieties. I, as a married man with 4 kids, I'm not going to say I don't have sexual frustrations. No, I'm joking. I'm tired of these boomer jokes, otherwise. I'm very happy. But this nonsense, I'm not paying for it, right? That's the thing. That's what all of these people are thinking. I don't want to pay for this. And there's no reason that we should. And so you can just cry. And so anyway, he carries on with, she carries on, blah, 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 blah. And then she gets to, witch hunts are nothing new, but one way GamerGate innovated is by gamifying abuse and harassment. Gamers all acted like they were playing a big video game. Instead of killing zombies or goblins, the targets were real people. GamerGate has a body count of 0. Now, actually, people on the other side of that can't say the same because they have actually harassed people to suicide. So, just saying, at the moment, we're doing great, and you appear to be, well, frankly, palpably evil thieves who will harass people into the grave and will do terrible things to people and have no remorse over it. We, as far as I can tell, have done nothing wrong, and we're not going to apologize for anything. The rhetoric and logic of video games are all over GamerGate. What a shock. Oh, we've pissed off a bunch of gamers. How are they acting? Well, they're acting like gamers online in a war against us, in a real-life video game against us. So, okay, well, deal with it. What did you think you were going to get when you kicked that hornet's nest? Again, no sympathy from me whatsoever on this. You started this, and we're still grinding. Like, this is what this video is. We're still grinding. We're not going to stop. Like, we're not going to stop until you never, ever come up in our feeds again. Until your outlets don't exist. Until you stop taking our money. We're never going to stop. Because of GamerGate, the online right refers to anyone who opposes Donald Trump's agenda as an NPC. Yeah, that's true, but because you really seem to all be pre-programmed with a particular kind of script that just repeats the same talking points over and over that we didn't agree with the first time we heard it and are no more persuaded now. Anyway, as Paul Waldman wrote in his newsletter last week, this logic allows Musk to tell himself and his followers that the suffering he brings down on NPCs is meaningless because to him our lives are without real meaning. If real meaning for you is I get a job at the government, I get to steal taxpayer money and give it to other woke projects, paying out my friends while stealing from my enemies, too bad, right? Real meaning to us is stopping you from doing that. And at the moment, we're doing quite well. Oh, if thousands of federal workers get fired and cut off vital services, who cares? These people don't matter. Correct. These people do not matter to me. My friends and my family matter to me. My local community matters to me. The money that you steal from me affects them. And therefore, no, it's going to end. We're not going to accept this anymore. The war has never stopped, and you know it's never stopped, Amanda, and it's going to continue on until one of us is bankrupt. And at the moment, it sounds like your side isn't doing so great.